Burn the vision board. Tear up that 5-year plan you scribbled down last New Year's Eve. Throw away the journals where you've been begging the universe for some imagined future. None of it is helping you. It's keeping you small. It's turning you into a servant, bowing to a future that doesn't even exist yet. You've been told the path to success runs through goals, a shiny destination glowing on the horizon, pulling you forward. But stop for a second. Look at your actual life. Has chasing that goal made you powerful or just anxious? Has it given you control or turned you into a slave to outcomes you can't predict? Machiavelli, the most misread mind in history, never lived by goals. He didn't hope. He didn't wait for permission. What he had was colder than that, sharper. He had a method. A goal is a wish wearing a disguise. A method is a siege. If you're tired of wishing, tired of climbing ladders only to find them leaning against the wrong wall, then you're ready for what comes next. But know this up front. This isn't self-help. This is self-conquest. Most people spend their whole lives in a state of becoming, waiting for the promotion, the relationship, the money, the body, living in the not yet. And because they live in the not yet, they're empty right now, fragile. One bad break, one twist of fortune, and they shatter because their entire identity was mortgaged to a goal they hadn't reached. Machiavelli understood something most people never grasp. The world is chaos. He called it Fortuna, the violent, unpredictable river of fate. Build your house on the banks of a river called goals, and when the flood comes, and it always comes, you drown. What you're about to learn is how to stop building on the riverbank and start becoming the river. How to trade the fragile idea of goals for something far harder to break. Positioning. Master this, and success and failure stop meaning anything to you. You just advance. You become inevitable, a force that can't be stopped because you're no longer aiming at a single point. You're expanding in every direction at once. But to get there, you have to kill the part of you that loves to dream, the part that gets a little dopamine hit just from talking about what you're going to do. You have to silence the child who wants a reward and wake up the strategist who demands power. The method is simple. It is not easy. It asks you to stop seeing your life as a story and start seeing it as a battlefield. And on a battlefield, you don't hope. You maneuver. So let's start at the root. Why do you set goals in the first place? Really sit with that. Why do you write, I want to make $1 million or I want to be happy? Because you're in pain. Because your present reality doesn't satisfy you. So you invent a fantasy future to escape it. The goal isn't a map. It's a painkiller. It numbs you to the fact that right now, you are not who you want to be. Machiavelli had no patience for hope. He saw it as weakness, a way men trick themselves into seeing the world as they wish it were, instead of as it actually is. And when you fixate on a goal, that's exactly what happens. You stare so hard at the peak that you stop seeing the cliff at your feet. You go rigid, and rigid things break. Think back to the last time you failed at something big. What happened inside you? You crashed, felt worthless, felt like a fraud. Why? Because you'd staked your entire self-worth on an outcome you never controlled in the first place. You handed your power over to the future. Machiavelli points somewhere else entirely, toward virtù, not virtue in the moral sense, not about being good, but about being effective. Skill, power, adaptability, ruthless competence. A Machiavellian doesn't say, I want to be rich. That's a wish dressed up as ambition. A Machiavellian says, I will master persuasion. I will learn how capital moves. I will position myself so money has to pass through me. Feel the difference? One is a wish. The other rewrites the structure of your reality. The goal setter is betting on luck. I hope this works. The strategist is operating on necessity. When you delete your goals, you're not giving up. You're getting serious. You start looking at your life and asking, where are the leverage points? Where am I bleeding energy? Who's actually standing in my way? That's the shift from dreamer to architect. The dreamer stares at the sky. The architect checks the foundation. And right now, your foundation is cracking because you've been too busy looking up. So stop looking at the horizon. Look at your hands. Look at your feet. What can you actually control right now, today? What system can you start building that makes the result inevitable, regardless of how you feel about it tomorrow? The outcome is rarely in your hands. Fortuna spins her wheel whether you like it or not. But the preparation, the strategy, that's yours completely. And if the strategy is sound, even a bad outcome can't break you. You pivot, you adapt, you keep moving. That's the first real step toward becoming untouchable, falling out of love with the destination and falling in love with the siege. We live in a loud world. Everyone's broadcasting every move. I'm starting a business, I'm hitting the gym, I'm launching something new, posted before the first real step is even taken, seeking applause in advance. Machiavelli would call that suicide. He used the image of the lion and the fox. The lion is strong enough to scare off wolves, but the lion walks straight into traps. The fox is weaker, but the fox sees the traps. When it comes to your own ambitions, you need to be the fox. The moment you announce a goal, two things happen. First, your brain rewards you with dopamine, the same chemical hit you'd get from actually doing the thing, except you haven't done anything. You feel accomplished. And because you feel accomplished, the hunger to follow through quietly drains away. You've tricked your own brain into standing still. Second, you create resistance. The instant you tell the world what you're after, you create people who'd rather you didn't get it. People who are jealous, people who doubt you, people who, without even realizing it, need you to fail so they don't have to look at their own stagnation. You've just handed them a target. Machiavelli believed a prince should never reveal his intentions until the blade is already moving. One must be a great deceiver, he wrote, so delete the goals from your bio. Stop announcing them in conversation. Move in silence, not just for secrecy, but because talking leaks power, while doing generates it. Picture building a bomb. You don't narrate the blueprint to everyone around you. You don't show the wiring. You build it in the dark with precision. And the world only learns it exists the moment it goes off. Be the bomb. Instead of a goal, carry a secret agenda. A goal is external. I want the promotion. An agenda is internal. I'm going to become indispensable to the people who decide, quietly gather leverage, and force their hand when the timing is right. Feel that difference in weight? A goal pleads, an agenda plots. And decay, when you're running on a secret agenda, you walk into rooms differently. You're not anxious about being seen, you're observing, calculating, sitting on knowledge no one else has. You're playing a game they don't even know has started. And people can feel that. Someone holding back power gives off a kind of gravity. It makes others uneasy, respectful. They can't explain your confidence because you haven't given them the explanation. And that mystery becomes your edge. Stop applauding yourself for things you haven't done yet. Starve the part of you that craves recognition. Feed the part that works in shadow. Let results be the only thing that ever speaks for you. Now, here's where most people break. You set the goal. You grind. You sacrifice everything for it. And then life happens. You get sick. The market crashes. Someone walks out the door. The goal becomes impossible. And the goal setter collapses. It's not fair. They spiral. They feel like the universe has turned against them personally. The Machiavellian just laughs, because he already knew Fortuna, fate, chaos, whatever name you give it, is something that rewards the bold, not the cautious. Fortune is a woman, Machiavelli wrote, and she gives herself more to those who are impetuous than to those who proceed coldly. Translation: meet reality with aggression. When the plan collapses, you don't stop. You turn and attack the new problem in front of you. Throw out the whole idea of plan A and plan B. There's only the objective and the terrain. The objective is power, freedom, resources, control. The terrain is whatever's actually happening right now. If the terrain shifts, you don't whine that the map is wrong. You throw the map away and look at the ground. Say you lose your job. The goal setter thinks, my path to VP is destroyed. I'm a failure. The strategist thinks, the terrain just shifted. I'm a free agent now, and that urgency is exactly what I need to finally move into the higher leverage space I was too comfortable to enter before. Same event. Opposite reaction. One person gets crushed by reality. The other uses it as fuel, that's anti-fragility, positioning yourself so that disorder actually strengthens you. Don't build a glass castle, build a fire. Wine snuffs out a candle, but it feeds a flame. With goals, you're the candle, terrified of every gust. With this method, you're the fire. You want the wind, you want the chaos, because you know it'll only make you burn hotter. Ask yourself honestly, if you lost everything tomorrow, would you know what to do? If the answer is no, you're too attached to a stability that was never guaranteed. You're soft. Mentally rehearse losing it all every now and then. It sharpens you. Machiavelli spent years in exile, stripped of his title, tortured. Did he fold? No. He sat down in the mud and wrote The Prince, turning his ruin into the most influential political text in history. He never got back what he wanted in the way he wanted it. He got something bigger. He used his misery as ink. What are you doing with yours? Letting it rot or putting it to work? We're told constantly to love ourselves, to practice self-care, to go easy on our own flaws. And sure, rest has its place. But there's no room for weakness. Machiavelli once asked whether it's better to be loved or feared and answered, ideally both. But if you have to choose, fear is safer. Turn that inward. Do you love yourself? Probably. You let yourself sleep in, eat the junk, skip the work when you don't feel like it. That's love. And that love is keeping you mediocre. What you need is to fear yourself a little. Fear the lazy version of you. Fear the one who settles. Fear the version of you that wakes up 5 years from now with nothing built. Become your own tyrant. Harsh, yes. But look at what gentleness has actually produced. Weak bodies, scattered minds, fragile emotions everywhere you look. A Machiavellian ruler imposes order on chaos. You are the ruler of your own mind, and right now, your mind is in open rebellion. Your impulses are rioting, demanding cheap dopamine and comfort. Try to love them into submission, and they'll laugh in your face. You have to crush the rebellion. Delete lose weight as a goal. Install physical sovereignty as a mandate. A sovereign doesn't negotiate with hostage takers, and your cravings are hostage takers, holding your potential at gunpoint. Once you build that internal fear, that deep respect for your own standard, you stop needing outside motivation. No video, no quote, nothing external required. You act because you must, because the alternative is slavery to your own impulses. And here's the paradox. The more ruthless you are with yourself, the freer you become. Discipline is freedom. The moment you can command yourself to do the hard thing, and you do it, you feel a kind of power no goal could ever give you. You become dangerous, in the best sense. You walk into a room knowing you control yourself, and that means you can hold the room. Most people can't even control breakfast. How could they control a negotiation, or their own future? So write your own internal law. I don't complain. I don't talk about plans. I execute them. I don't react to insults, I study them. Break the law and you answer to yourself. Keep it and you earn the reward. Be a fair king, but be a strong one. So, if the goals are gone, what replaces them? What does this actually look like on an ordinary Tuesday morning? 3 pillars: positioning, leverage, adaptability. Positioning. Stop asking what do I want to achieve and start asking where do I need to be standing. Want to be wealthy? Don't set a number. Go stand in the rooms where money actually moves. Learn how people there talk, how they think, what they value. Want to be strong? Put yourself somewhere that demands resistance daily. Success isn't a sprint, it's a location. Move yourself to where the result becomes the natural byproduct of just being there. Leverage. Goals are addition. 1 + 1 = 2. Leverage is multiplication. 1 + 1 = 10. Machiavelli never fought every battle himself. He used alliances, used other people's armies. Look honestly at your life. Where are you using brute force when you could be using tools, other people's time, other people's capital? The strategist's question is always, how do I get the maximum result for the minimum necessary effort? That's not laziness. That's conserving energy for the moment that actually matters. Adaptability. Every morning, read the room. The market, your own energy, what the day is actually offering. High energy, push hard on execution. Running low? Do the quiet, strategic work instead. Don't force the wrong kind of effort just because the calendar says so. Be water. Doors locked? Find the window. Windows barred? Dig under. Ground too hard? Wait for the rain. Keep moving, but never be afraid to change direction. This whole approach is lighter, in a strange way, because it removes the emotional weight of failure. You can't fail if you're constantly adapting. You can only be delayed, and delay just gives the strategist more time to sharpen the blade. Once you let go of goals and pick up this method, something in your eyes changes. You stop looking like you're chasing something and start looking like you already have something. People are drawn to that kind of certainty. In a world full of anxious goal chasers, the person who's quietly running a system reads as the one actually in charge. You become the eye of the storm, calm, cold, watching. While everyone else is shouting about their 5-year plans, you're laying bricks for something built to last 50. You stop chasing highs from imagining the future and start finding them in mastering the present. Every action turns into a kind of ritual. Every silence becomes a calculated move. Every setback is just new geometry, a chance to recalculate the angle of attack. This way of living isn't for everyone. It's cold, it's solitary. It demands you kill off the part of yourself that's still waiting to be rescued. Nobody is coming to save you. No goal will do it either. The only one who can is you. And not through wishing, but through command. You've looked into the depths of your own ambition, and you didn't flinch. But understanding this is only the beginning. Your mind is a slippery thing. It'll try to slide back into old patterns, try to whisper a new goal into existence tomorrow morning. Stay alert. Guard that throne. There's one trap that has taken down even the sharpest strategists. But you, emotional leakage. The moment feeling starts dictating strategy. It's the thing Machiavelli warned against more than almost anything else. And it's exactly where we're headed next. How to detach from your emotions so completely that manipulation simply has nothing left to grab onto. You think you know what calm feels like. You haven't seen real stillness yet.